Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Tonight, we have an amazing speaker. Please help me welcome Father Terry.
Hello, my name is Terry, and I'm your amazing speaker. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. And I'm grateful to be sober, and I'm grateful to be in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous with a bunch of crazy alcoholics. I came to socially in a conversation on the disease concept of alcoholism in Hawthorne, where I was raised. He's going to turn that thing down a little bit, I think now. And my father was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1943 and 44. And so I was a little kid then, and I didn't know what he was doing. But I remember him either being insanely drunk or a very considerate, good guy. Nothing in between. And I didn't think about it. I was 6 years old, And he had a slip, and he died in withdrawal on his 42nd birthday when I was 6 and a half. A few little sisters and older brothers. So I was aware of alcoholism, and I would talk to my mother about it. She says, "Don't think badly of your father and your Uncle Bill and your Uncle Matt and your Uncle Ed. Say a prayer for them. They're sick. Say a prayer. The first drink gets them drunk." So I had this orientation. I was, getting hip to this. And adult children of alcoholics, mostly you associate people with alcoholic parents as, going crazy and getting into trouble. And but there's a whole group that go the other direction. Either you get in trouble to get negative attention to substitute for love, or you create order and get A's in school, be a good boy, good little girl. And I guess I took that path. I didn't know I was taking that path. But I got A's in school and went along and decided I wanted to be a priest. I took a confirmation. I'm a Catholic kid. The bishop in those days would have everybody stand up and take the pledge not to drink till you're 21. I stood up and took the pledge. Everybody told me, "Don't worry. Nobody keeps the pledge. Have a drink." I said, I kept the pledge. And I went to the seminary to study to be a priest, and while there in college, longest paper I wrote in college was called Alcoholism. I read the big book and went to AA meetings for research, and I read the big book 2 years before I had a drink. And that's weird enough to mention. And when I turned 21, it was all right. We Catholics aren't against drinking. Against a lot of other things, but I mixed up a batch of Manhattans in the backyard. In summertime, my birthday was, and discovered America. I crossed the invisible line sometime in the early afternoon of my 21st birthday, and I was in that's college age, going into graduate school. And I didn't have any money. I didn't have a chance to drink very much, but the tension was there. And I was somebody who was getting a drink when I could, and when I could when I knew it would be just one drink, I'd lose interest. It had to be a few. One drink would just drive me crazy. And I went along through that way, ordained a priest. One's ability to get a drink increases once you're out of boot camp. And so I was this young, skinny priest, nice guy, who was drinking a lot and drinking on my way home from places. I had this thing where we alcoholics, if we start drinking, we have a job to do, and you have to get done. And if you're not done yet, well, you're not allowed to go to bed yet. You got to get done. And I remember getting done after the party was over, or I didn't party a lot, but that was places where people drank, and goodbye, they polite places, they say goodbye, they want you to go. And gee whiz. And I still had to get done. I would bar hop my way home, and I would seldom buy a bottle, because there's different things people have in their head that mean alcoholism. The most common is to miss work from drinking, and that means you're alcoholic. So people go to work almost dead to prove they're not alcoholic. And or having the morning drink, though, you're drinking in the morning, you're an alcoholic. Other people go to shake themselves to death until whatever hour they put on it. Maybe that's old-fashioned, but there was a lot of people trying to do that. And I had this thing, if you buy a bottle, a fifth of scotch in those days, how old I am, it wasn't 750 milliliters. If you buy a big bottle of scotch after midnight, that's not social shopping, You can't, if you buy a big bottle at night, you're a drunk, And I went along very obsessed, very preoccupied. When I drank, it was just, the world would change, I would change. It was just a high speaks to me. It says everything's going to be all right. It says life's possible. You can breathe now. And I kind of knew, and it was like I had a bad conscience right from the start. I just say to myself, "You're an alcoholic. You're an alcoholic. You're gonna be one really soon." I said, "Yeah. I hope I don't become a real one too soon. That means you can't drink at all." I was, and I finally, I came out of a blackout on 2 occasions in a car alone at night in a light rain going sideways. And I know it's one of the things we do minimize our experiences. I was coming down an off-ramp of the San Diego freeway sideways. I thought, not hitting anything. You're a hell of a driver, Hell of a driver. I came out of a blackout on a flat spin on Wilshire Boulevard late at night and wound up parked perfectly in the wrong direction, But that's death dealing. I could be dead, or you could be dead if you're around me. And I know I have a way, and I suspect you do, of doing stuff like that. And you got to laugh it off and go on. You can't let that register. There's implications to that kind of behavior. Gotta turn yourself into somebody, or before they get you. And so I know, you're an alcoholic, and I decided to quit. Gotta quit. It's time to quit. And I was afraid to quit because I usually kept my promises and my decisions. I was used to sticking to things. I went to the seminary once. I stayed 12 years. I never missed turning in a paper. I never had an incomplete on anything. I'm just one of those, I show up. And, well, I thought if I quit, that's it. But I got to quit. It's so clear. So I quit. And I started the next day. And I thought, what is that? Sure, I'm glad I didn't tell anybody. I was going to quit, you know. And then I would start on and off, and it was humiliating. I decided I was a non-drinker who drank sometimes. And after struggling with that kind of stuff, by the way, one time I quit for 5.5 months. And I thought, pretty good. I mean, you've done it. You're mature. Keep your promise. Keep your decision. I think you're growing up. This is pretty good. I'll never be able to relax again for the rest of my natural life, but, you know, don't be a crybaby. You know, you've had enough fun, you know. Grow up. And then a thought occurred to me that if you could quit drinking for 5.5 months, that proves you can quit. And as long as I know I can quit, I might as well start and quit if there's any real trouble. And I drank over a vacation, and sort of a New York night. First time I went to New York was during that little vacation with a buddy of mine, and found out the bars are open till 4. I thought, how civilized. And I thought, 2 was never, if you're young, 2 doesn't do it, you know. Do me now, I'll tell you. 2 o'clock. Anyway, I drank way too much and was in trouble at times. And got home and thought, well, they proved it. Yeah, you're alcoholic, so got to quit. And I couldn't quit, you know. I just stop and start. And was going down the tubes. When I drink, it would be totally unpredictable. I could drink a few times and just drink a little too much, and then I'd just be crazy. Remember going to my age. Are you familiar with the movie Hawaii? But 3 people. It was first run at the Egyptian Theater in 1966 or something, and or 67, 68. Yeah, probably 68. No. He's 66. And I was on a day off with a couple of my buddies, and they wanted to see Hawaii, first run. And do you ever get kind of loaded, and then someone wants to go to a movie where you stand in line for a long time before the movie, and then get in trapped, you know? So I resisted it, but I went along with it, and we got in there, stuffed in the middle of far from the aisle, and the movie started. I remember blue on the screen, and I thought, I got to have a drink. And I clutched my movie ticket stub and stepped on everybody's toes, making my way to the aisle, and up the aisle, through the lobby, across Hollywood Boulevard to Hal's Nest, and ordered double scotch. I didn't even go in the bar all the way. I just went to the edge, into the bar, double scotch, water back, boom, back, down the aisle, stepped on everybody's toes, sat down. Then I stood up, stepped on everybody's toes, went up, and I don't know how many times I did that, but I was 86 from Hal's Nest without being in it. I was refused service, and that's what I would get into, and I was getting into trouble, all kinds of trouble, missing things, and having trouble with my boss. We had talks. We agreed all the time that I shouldn't drink, and one time I he turned me into his boss. And so I got to go out and see the cardinal. And we agreed I shouldn't drink anymore. And I lasted about 2 weeks for the cardinal and showed up I got home at 7:45 for the 6:30 Mass, kind of coming across the schoolyard with the kids as they had their little lunch pails and lunch sacks. And I was dragging my sweater coming out of a blackout. I thought, I guess this is it. I said, the old man said, yeah, this is it. And so that's when I turned the corner and became officially labeled socially an alcoholic, because I was fired and sent to an diversion treatment hospital. And, when doomsday comes, well, first of all, do you ever hear people have a sense of impending doom that's common for alcoholics? Well, the reason is doom is impending. That's you come out of blackouts and cars sliding sideways, doom is impending, maybe in a second. But when doom actually arrives, we're not as impressed, as, what doom was, I was fired, and you could, nobody likes to get fired, even if you can get a job pretty easy. But if you live where you work and drive a company car, it's a big change. Anyway, I was fired. I was on hold. I was sent to an aversion treatment hospital where it's a Pavlov dog approach to sobriety. It's pretty old-fashioned. You get a nausea drug, warm salt water, so you don't hurt yourself throwing up. And they give you your favorite drinks, and you throw up really fast into a drowning, panic, nausea kind of thing. And 5 of those treatments, together with a spirit of good sportsmanship, should keep you sober for the rest of your life. And but when I made that transition, doomsday, and now I'm an official drunk, and I think my experience, I'll bet, is kind of like yours. We're not that impressed. I live with a sense of doom every day, and when doom comes, it's not that much of a contrast to a regular day. It's just, you get to meet new people, go to new places. It's kind of interesting. It breaks the monotony. This is a tough place for someone with ADD, I'll tell you that. I'd last a little while and I would drink again. And I'd last a little while and I'd drink again. You're looking at, most of you are too young to even have heard of Schick Shadle's hospital, but I'm a 5-time loser. I've had 24 of those aversion treatments. And got drunk after that. And detox in a psych ward in downtown Los Angeles, and then shipped to New Jersey, where I got to spend the winter with a bunch of broken down old priests, the old alcoholic priests. I mean, they were old. They should have quit a long time ago. I was the kid, I think I was 31, and so I, thought, well, but I had an experience in detox, my last detox, and I consider myself having this like a double a first step experience that was phase 1, phase 2. The phase 1 of my first step experience was at the end of detox in the psych ward, and I felt like myself again, and then this conviction just kind of came up within me, and it said, you're going to get drunk again, and you're going to get detox again, and you're going to get drunk again, and detox again, like your Uncle Bill and your Uncle Matt and your father. And you'll just do that until you become a pathetic, boring pain in the ass to all who know you. And then you'll die. My reaction was, at least I know. I couldn't stand getting my hopes up. I just couldn't stand that. I don't have to do that anymore. That's a relief. And that I consider that a grace of God, that my higher power let me feel my powerlessness over alcohol. There was just something gone. If I gripped, it didn't matter. Didn't matter. I was gone. And when I went back to the recovery house, I didn't want to be a party pooper, kind of a negative influence by explaining to people that it wouldn't work for me. I was polite, didn't say anything. And then as I went along, I was starting to be drawn into recovery without knowing it. Because my idea of recovery was to get clear and get it. I want to understand it. I want to possess an understanding of recovery and what's really going on. I want to own it, and I'd like to leave. Thank you very much. And when I went to meetings, I thought, when are they going to get down to business? They're just, they're fooling around. Then even when everybody finally stops talking, they kind of read little things and give a little do-do. Not too focused. And so I couldn't take it seriously, but I kind of liked it. I liked it. It's fine with me. I liked meetings. I just thought they were just kind of pathetic. And it's like treading water until you figure out something serious to do. In my arrogant analysis. But while I'm doing this, I'm actually being drawn into recovery. We start to recover, and recovery is so profoundly, deeply different than what we picture ahead of time, that we're into recovery before we know we're into recovery. It's a matter of joining up. It's a matter of dancing. Join the dance. It's a matter of saying yes to the process, to the journey, and I found myself doing it, and I would actually look forward to a meeting. Where are we going tonight? And I was the driver. There was a 51 green Plymouth that I drove in the winter in New Jersey that had the floor rotted out below the driver's seat. We had to use the bumper jack to keep the seat from falling into the drive shaft. And going and swishing around the corners in the ice and finding these Protestant church basements like this to go to. And we had to wear our priest suit every time we went, with a little collar and everything. So about 4 of us show up, and they weren't waiting for spiritual inspiration, They knew that we were coming from that place up on the hill where they sent them. And so I had to go to meetings, and I was getting into it, but I still wasn't recognizing it as recovery. And I was reading the book, and I trying to apply to first I'm powerless. Oh yeah, oh God, yeah. And you got to believe in a power greater than yourself. Well, it sounded a little vague, secularist, and there and so forth. But yeah, I always believed in God. All my heroes were spiritual heroes. All the people that touched my heart, that had faith, and but it wasn't working for me. It didn't enliven. My heart wasn't alive. I was. And I'm going around to meetings, and as I say, looking forward to them. But I look forward to the meeting getting over a lot more than I look forward to the meeting happening. And right now, you might start to get nervous because I'm the big circuit speaker, and he might think he can talk overtime, And if he does, I just went crazy. They're talking overtime. The deal isn't. I started twisting my chair apart. I got to get back to my recovery house and sit there. But I was at one of these meetings, and the guy speaking had me. He was going along, and he had me. He was a bright. He was really alcoholic. He touched me, and I was in there with him. And in the middle of his pitch, he said, And I could stay sober only one day at a time. And my reaction was, he seems brighter than that, you know? I thought one day at a time was the most no-content slogan you guys had. But I was in him, and when he said it, I didn't go through this, I'm describing it, but I didn't go through a word process. It was, inside of me, it just went in me. And there was a realization, it applied to me. I can stay sober only one day at a time. And I felt humiliated. I felt like I was 5 years old. Here's Terry, he's sober all day today. Very good, very good. You run along now, we'll call you if we need you. What was that about? I was calling myself an alcoholic for years. I wasn't afraid of the label alcoholic at all. If you ask me if I was one, I'd say, of course I am. But I was hanging on to something. I was hanging on. See, I think I'm pretty smart. And I was hoping, I was banking on being able to figure something out. I think that's my analysis, for whatever it's worth. And when he said he could stay soberly one day at a time, and he was bright, and it meant that I am never going to figure anything out deep enough and good enough to matter. I've figured a lot of things out, and I keep getting drunk. And there's something, I became a poor man that day. It's the image in my head is I'm a poor man with a little bowl. Sobriety, please, thank you very much. Yes. And I get my bowl filled every day, and I don't save up. There's no saving up. It's a little bowl, just lasts one day. And you go receive it. I'm an introverted, head-tripping, distrustful, suspicious person. I don't want to have to trust anybody giving me anything. I'd like to seduce you into giving me a lot of things, but I don't want to have to bank on you, I don't want to have to, and here I am, I don't want to have to beg on God. I'd like to give it to me, okay, I got it. There's still something in me like that. But as I went on, someone whispered in my ear, you were not sentenced to drink. You're a dingbat alcoholic, and if you don't play ball or join up, you will drink again and die in the way that you already know, the way you've been dying. But you don't have to do that. But in order to not do that, you don't have to do some heroic thing. You have to do something a little deeper than heroic. You have to change your name. It used to be Terry, now I'm Terry Alcoholic. We had a guy, John Lockie was his full name, died a few years ago. And I go to the White Flag Men's Stag. It's been my home meeting since 1971. And he was our elder statesman. He got sober in 1948, and he died in the early 90s. But when people would get all deep and struggling with their concepts and with the understanding of God and sobriety, he'd say, stop all that trying and join up. We join up with one another. We get someone who's sober longer and been around, and we kind of just hang in there, and it isn't like going like a little automaton and doing everything I said. We hang in and we do the stuff suggested and show up and be here. I notice a lot of people raise their hand as newcomers, and I've been a newcomer a lot. I've been in a lot of treatment centers, and I've been really used to being a newcomer. And I'm used to being a newcomer who's kind of sleepwalking, who's a cynicism that won't quit. I know how to be nice, but I couldn't trust. And I couldn't trust because I thought what you were giving was spiritual control. And spiritual life is the opposite of control. We don't get control. We get a chance to live and take the action suggested. And my experience of doing the steps, I have paid attention and I have taken action in all the steps. And I've always had the impression that I didn't do it well enough. I can't brag about the way I did the steps. I always had a feeling I was doing them in a half-ass way. If I was really spiritual, I've really got it, I would do the step really, I want to get it. And but I've never met anybody who got drunk and left the program because they didn't do the steps quite right. It's like not doing them is the big danger. And not doing them or doing them by yourself in a specially purified and deep way. We do them together, and we tell each other all our stuff, and we take suggestions and carry the message and prayer and meditation. I was in therapy a while. My watch says 21 minutes and 35 seconds, so I'm aware of it. And I found out that the image of a God that I had emotionally was so different than what I was taught, what I learned. My idea of a higher power, when you say God, was a high school principal in a gray suit who forgot my name. My God was not angry, he was a detached bureaucrat. Really. And the God I met in this program is present in the room. And there was a presence. It was one meeting, and I'll end with this. I was in a meeting, and it's a kind of a little round robin, kind of a small one. And one of the guys said, I'm one of those violent guys. But I haven't touched any one of my kids or my wife. I haven't hit them. I haven't hit anybody in my family for 3 months or something like that. And he said he'd been arrested for it and everything. He hadn't had a drink in the better part of a year. And someone else, another guy said, I hit my kid today. Tell me what you did. And I was in the presence of God. I didn't think this guy was God or that guy. There was a spirit of trust, of where someone could come out with the worst thing they were most ashamed of, and know, somehow in his gut, he knew nobody was going to put him down or exclude him or give him a bad time. Someone else took the chance of saying the same thing. He wanted some hints. What do you do? What? And that kind of trust and the kind of mutual respect and love, the God of my understanding, that's what he's up to. He's up to drawing us together in that spirit. And when we're together in that spirit and go to enough meetings, we don't have to drink, and we even feel very relieved we don't have to drink. And the urge to be better than other people gradually goes away until you know it's silly, and then you get the urge again and know you're silly, and you thank God for the program. Thank you very much.
Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst and one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.